Medal of Honor Day, held on Tuesday this year, commemorates the men and women who have received the nation's highest military award for valor. Chattanooga, the birthplace of the Medal of Honor, is the home of the Charles H. Coolidge National Medal of Honor Heritage Center. On Saturday, the center opens a new exhibit honoring Captain Larry Taylor, the Chattanooga native awarded the Medal of Honor in 2023 for his heroic acts as a helicopter pilot during the Vietnam War. Vince Butler is the Major Gifts Officer at the National Medal of Honor Heritage Center. Vince, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Tell us more about this exhibit.
We're excited to officially unveil on March 29th the Medal of Honor exhibit for Captain Larry Taylor, who was a Chattanoogan who received the Medal of Honor from President Biden back in September of 2023. Originally was awarded the Silver Star during Vietnam on June 18th, 1968. And then due to the efforts of a lot of veterans and the Heritage Center and elected officials had made a case to elevate the Silver Star to a Medal of Honor, and President Biden agreed and signed the petition. And glad to say today that Larry Taylor is a recognized Medal of Honor recipient, but we went out and raised roughly $1 million thanks to some generous people, including Hamilton County government, City of Chattanooga, and the widow of Captain Taylor, Tony Taylor, was able to secure the funds, and it's taken us about a year to build the exhibit. And we're really proud to unveil this exhibit that tells Captain Taylor's story to the public on Saturday, March 29th.
Talk more about what people will see in the exhibit.
We're kind of the hidden treasure of Chattanooga because we opened up in February 2020, and then 3 weeks after the opening, COVID shut everything down. So we've been actually operating since 1987 in different locations in Chattanooga, but we designed and built the current Heritage Center and the Aquarium Plaza. So when you walk in there, it is a museum, but it's a unique approach, I guess a unique way to do it. We tell the stories of Medal of Honor recipients, many of them tied to our area. We say Chattanooga is the birthplace of the Medal of Honor because the first medals awarded in our country's history were awarded for action in and around Chattanooga. So that's part of our city's heritage that a lot of people do not know. Chattanooga being the birthplace, the action, the incredible stories that started in 1862. It really started with April 12th, 1862, when 24 soldiers from the state of Ohio snuck as civilians down into Kennesaw, which was at the time called Big Shanty, stole a train that we all know called the General. And that day, that story of stealing the General and destroying the rail line that was basically supplying the Confederates at the time, that is the Great Locomotive Chase. That is Andrew's Raid. On March 25th of 1863, 6 of the 24 men received the very first Medal of Honor in our country's history, starting with Jacob Parrott, a young 17-year-old private. So incredible story what happened that day. It's kind of almost like a Doolittle Raid. If you know anything about World War II history, the Doolittle Raid is when they took the bombers into and struck inside Japan for the first time. It was something nobody thought was possible. Andrew's Raid the same way. He went into the heart of the Confederacy and created a disruption that helped turn the tide of the war, that set the stage for the battles of Chattanooga and Chickamauga, that helped bring that war to an end and save the nation that we all enjoy today. Incredible story. But a few months after those first medals were awarded was the Chattanooga campaign, where there's 33 other medals awarded in and around Chattanooga, and including some very iconic individuals, including the first and only woman to ever receive the Medal of Honor. Dr. Mary Walker was a surgeon up on Cameron Hill, where Blue Cross Blue Shield is located today. If you actually go up there, you'll see the Dr. Mary Walker Park, and there's some reader rails and some cannons, and her life story is told up on those reader rails there. Another famous individual, the father of Douglas MacArthur. Arthur MacArthur was a young first lieutenant, 19 years old, led the 1st Wisconsin, the Battle of Missionary Ridge, and an incredible story what he did on that day. But those two were actually part of the 33, in total of 52, what we call the first medals. And that tells the heritage of that medal, what it means and what it does. And it started here in Chattanooga 162 years ago. So we're excited about that. And Larry is the latest Chattanooga. We're very fortunate. We've had 6 Medal of Honor recipients from this area that we live in today. But we tell the stories of those first medals and all the Tennesseans that have received the Medal of Honor. And a lot of them are connected to our area. And we do it in a unique way where we build a life-size diorama with an actual recipient as they looked in the day of their action. So when you see Larry Taylor in his Cobra helicopter, it's going to look like he's a 24-year-old first lieutenant flying a Cobra helicopter in Vietnam. Every one of the mannequins are hand sculpted from an artist out of New York, and it will tell a story, and using sound and light and some video to tell a story about what that recipient did that embodies 6 character traits we always talk about through our education program or what we do every day, and that's citizenship, patriotism, courage, commitment, integrity, and sacrifice. Those 6 quintessential American values is what I like to say. We all have them, but how do we learn to act upon them at a certain time? You don't have to be in the military to show courage or sacrifice or commitment. It's in everyday life. It could be a kid in a schoolyard standing up to a bully. It could be a kid talking about this kid is bringing a gun to the school and you can go talk to a teacher about it. Teaching kids and adults how do you make the harder right decision versus the easier wrong. And that's something we all deal with at all ages. And that's really the second part of our mission that not many people know we do is we bring children into the Heritage Center and we have corporate boards and we have individuals come in and learn through the recipient stories and figure out ways that can represent them in their everyday life and how they can find that value within themselves to do something special in the community. That's the beauty. It's not talking about war. It's talking about individuals, an ordinary person doing something extraordinary to make a difference. And that's what we're about.
And then the unveiling of this exhibit on Saturday, March 29th, right around the time of Medal of Honor Day across the nation.
Yes.
It begins at 8 a.m. with an exclusive preview for members of the Medal of Honor Heritage Center.
Yep.
Then at 11 a.m., the Bricks of Honor dedication. Yep. That is something that is quarterly. Talk about that.
We actually have a program called Bricks of Honor where individuals can purchase a brick anywhere from as small as a 4x8 to as large as a 12x12 and honor a veteran, a friend, a business, anyone that wants to be kind of just recognized for doing something unique and special and impactful in the community. You can buy those online at our website, and then once every 3 or 4 months we'll do a special dedication. So at 11 o'clock in that day, we're actually doing something different this time. We're going to have 3 individuals, and it's supposed to be a Veterans Day, but we had really bad weather back in November. We had to postpone it till this one. And so we're having 3 individuals come, one from Vietnam, one from the first Gulf War, and one from the Global War on Terror. That's going to talk about what service means to them as a veteran of that particular era and talk about why it's important that it doesn't matter if you're in the military or not, but how you can find your way to serve and give back to your community to make a difference. And so it's a very unique one, but we're going to dedicate probably 115, 120 bricks. At the conclusion of the ceremony, we read all the names, and then we play taps. And so that is a special ceremony where we have a lot of veterans and families and active duty that actually come out there just to honor those individuals. And if you ever walk through the Aquarium Plaza, you can be walking in front of the Heritage Center there, the walkover bridge, and you'll see probably about 400 bricks out there already. We hope eventually we're going to be into thousands. Right now we're about a little bit over 400 bricks out there right now, but it is an incredible way that people can support our mission and honor somebody at the same time. But that's at 11 o'clock. And then what everybody's wanting to know is when can I see the new exhibit? And that is at 1 o'clock. Now, if you know Larry Taylor, he was a Vietnam veteran, very active in the community, a big philanthropist. People know Larry was very generous, but there's so many things he did in the community, but you never knew he did it because it was anonymous. He always said if there's a need, somebody has to step up, fill that need, but you don't need to get credit for it. And that was quintessential what Larry was about, is doing it because it was needed and the right thing to do, not because I wanted to have my name somewhere or be promoted or recognized. And so he had a lot of friends and a lot of fans that know his story, want to come out there and honor him, have been waiting for this day to come. So it's going to be very busy. So we basically said you've got to buy a ticket to get in line for the opening weekend. And the ribbon cutting will be at 1 o'clock. But we still encourage you, if you can't come at 1 o'clock, come in the afternoon, come on Sunday or next week. But it is something that I do believe this community has been looking for since he had the Welcome Home Parade on September 11, 2023, when he came back from D.C. after receiving the medal. We had well over 5,000 people line the streets for that parade. It was an incredible day to honor him. But Chattanooga has a long history of being very patriotic, supporting and active duty in the veteran community. I think this is another way they can do it and honor the Vietnam generation, which is sometimes throughout our time has not always been recognized for what they did in the 70s. So.
And beyond this exhibit, adding to that history, this fall will be another chapter, yes. And that will be the National Medal of Honor Convention.
Yes, once a year, all living Medal of Honor recipients gather somewhere in the country. This is probably going back 2 years ago. We were asked to consider bidding on it. At the time, they don't go to small markets like this. typically, like 2 years ago, it was New Orleans. Last year was San Antonio. Next year, it's Detroit. It's typically a major metropolitan area that will do this. But we were asked to consider it. We did say we're going to do it. We worked with Chattanooga Tourism, city and county government, state of Tennessee, and we put together a bid to host this gathering. And we were awarded the 2025 Medal of Honor celebration, we're calling it. It starts on September 30th, and we are the birthplace. So what better way to kick off this event with something really special, which I'm not going to get into, but something on September 30th we'll announce in a few months that I think is going to be something that is going to be really, really unique to kick off the convention. All living recipients will come to Chattanooga. They will be basically public events, private events. There's a big veteran event we're planning. We will have a gala, a black tie gala on Saturday, October the 4th, where people can go to this gala. It is emceed by Gary Sinise. There's some other neat things. There's 4 individuals we're going to honor that day that are A-list celebrities. Going to bring kind of the really unique factor, besides having a Medal of Honor recipients here, but you have these 4 really high-profile individuals come to town to receive the awards. And there's one that's in Hollywood, there's one that's in the media, there's a philanthropist, and then there's one that's just through their life's work that really represent those 6 values that embody the Medal of Honor. And we're really excited about it. There's going to be a lot of news coming out over the next couple of months as we move closer to that. But yeah, it's going to be something I think Chattanooga has not seen since the very first Armed Forces Day Parade in Chattanooga, right after World War II, and the very first ones have. And you had 3 new Medal of Honor recipients out of World War II, Coolidge, and Paul Huff, in a Jeep that had been driven by Alvin York. And there's a picture of it inside the Heritage Center. And that was really the first time a lot of our war heroes were coming back from Germany and Japan, and Chattanooga and Hamilton County came together to do the very first Armed Forces Day Parade. And I do believe it's going to be something like that. They will be all over the community. They'll be visiting schools. They will be in various public places at the Heritage Center. So that week is an opportunity for our region to come together to honor the living Medal of Honor recipients. But by honoring them, we're also honoring all men and women that have served over the years, all our veterans, but plus our active duty. And I think it's a great opportunity to put a side of our city that makes me proud as a Chattanoogan to honor our veterans and our active duty personnel.
And for people who want to check it all out, for people who want to keep up on all of it, because there's a lot,
yes,
where can they go online?
They can go to our website, MOHHC.org. That's Medal of Honor Heritage Center.org. It's the first letter of each word. And you can go there and you can sign up for our newsletter to receive all the updates, learn more about our educational program. We have an incredible teacher fellowship program that works with schools throughout the region to take teachers to help them to design classroom activities and curriculum and materials to share those recipient stories as part of their lesson plans. They help them meet the state standards, but to teach the next generation, our future leaders, to inspire them with these stories, to help them understand that they have these values within themselves, but how do they learn to act upon them to do something special? So that's an incredible program that's grown leaps and bounds, that's really touching the people, I believe, which is the ones that at some point the next generation is going to have to answer a bell. Whatever it is in our world, we don't know, but at some point that generation will be the ones that are out there defending our freedoms and liberties. So we need to make sure they understand what those are. So past generations have set up and made that call and answered that challenge. I want to make sure that generation comes forward, that they understand the sacrifices of previous generations, so the freedoms and liberties we all have today, that they continue to be protected.
All right, Vince, thanks so much.
All right, well, thank you for having me today. And again, go to our website and get more information. And we look forward to talking to you soon.